my channel. I'm Rachel, the owner and creator here at the Eclectic Cottage in Spokane, Washington. Today is Wednesday, and for today's video, I grabbed a little side table that I've been kind of kicking around in my kitchen for a while and gave it a makeover. I love how it came out. I hope you guys do too. And without further ado, let's get to today's project. So my project for today is this cute little table that I picked up a while back at Goodwill. And I've had this thing sitting under my kitchen table for some time now. Every once in a while I kick it and it reminds me that it was there. So I figured it was about time I got it out, cleaned it up, and did something with it. So this is me giving it a really good bath with some crud cutter, just wiping off all the gunk and the dust and everything. And then I always like to follow my crud cutter with some clean water just to make sure that I don't have any of that crud cutter residue left behind. Now, I don't know what this little stand used to be, but it had 4 little holes in the bottom here, and then underneath the top of the table there were 4 more little holes. I'm assuming for some sort of a dowel or a rung that it had at some point. At any rate, I needed to fill the holes, so I'm using Durham's water putty, and I mixed it up pretty thick. And then I scraped off the excess, but I always like to go back and dab just a little bit more over the top. I've found in the past that it tends to shrink just a little, and I didn't want to have to reapply and do this whole step over again. So I'm actually mounding it up just a little bit so that I know it'll be good once I sand it smooth. So once it was completely dry, I took it outside and used my little orbital sander with some 220 grit sandpaper and sanded it down really well. I also went ahead and sanded the top of it because there was a little bit of damage that I wanted to smooth out as well. Then I brought it back inside and gave it another bath. And after that, I grabbed my shellac, and I am going to spray all of the areas that I filled with the water putty. And the reason I'm doing this is because I have noticed that it takes the water putty, especially when it's in a deeper hole, quite some time to dry. And if you paint right over it while it's still a little wet, it can leach back up into your paint and you can see where the holes were. And I didn't want that to happen. So I sealed all of my holes up with that shellac so that I could move on to my next step, which is painting. For this little table, I chose Sweet Pickins Milk Paint in the color Basil, which is this beautiful rich green. And I did choose to go ahead and use Extra Bond in my paint. I wanted this to have a pretty solid finish. I didn't want to take any chances with chippiness, but I did want to do some distressing. So I'm just going over this with 2 good even coats of that basil color. Once it was completely dry, I took it back outside and grabbed my orbital sander and gave it another good sanding. Basically, at this point, just to smooth it out and do a little bit of distressing with that sander. I don't like doing rungs with the sander. I find that it eats too much of the paint too quickly for me. So I just went around the edges and did again just the flat surfaces with the sander. Once I was done with that, I grabbed some 220 grit sandpaper and did some distressing on the little rungs. I did want some of that beautiful dark wood color to be showing through the green paint. Now, I know not everyone is a big fan of distressing, so if you're not, you could absolutely just skip this step. Once I was happy with the distressing, I brought it back into my kitchen and gave it yet another bath with a damp shop towel. Now, I knew I wanted to use this little table in my holiday displays, but I didn't necessarily want it to scream Christmas. So I thought a good way to give it a little holiday flair would be to add some gold. So I grabbed a little artist brush and my Golden Ticket Liquid Patina by DIY, and I carefully painted the golden ticket into this little detail that goes around the entire top of the table. My plan is to use transfers over the top of the table, and I wanted to be able to have those transfers go over this little detail, and that is why I used a patina rather than a wax. You can put a transfer over a patina, but you definitely don't want to ever try and put a transfer over wax. It will not stick. The transfer set I'm using is called Burgundy Love. It's an older one by Redesign with Prima. So I grabbed a couple of the sheets of it, cut out the pieces that I wanted, figured out exactly how I wanted them to lay, and then I began applying my transfers one by one. I started with this one, and the first thing I did was push the transfer down into that little indent on both sides just to make sure that was stuck really well before I began applying the rest of the transfer. Then it was just a matter of using the transfer stick to rub the transfer onto my piece while I peel back that little piece of vellum, just making sure as I go that all of my transfer is adhered really well to my piece. Once I was finished applying my first transfer, I moved on to the other side, and I used the same exact technique to apply that second transfer. Once I had both my transfers applied, I grabbed a piece of vellum and I burnished them in really well. This process helps eliminate any wrinkles or air bubbles in your transfer, making sure that they are completely adhered to your piece, and it also can help eliminate some of the halo from around the edges of your transfer. Then I added another transfer to the bottom of this little table, and I have to tell you, these transfers went down so easily. I absolutely love adding transfers over milk paint. The last step in this process is sealing my paint. For that, I decided to just go with clear oil wax by Sweet Pickins Milk Paint. I thought about adding dark wax to this, but I really didn't know how it was going to react with the golden ticket, and I really didn't want that to look dirty or dingy, so I just went ahead and used clear oil wax. I am pouring a little bit of that clear oil wax just directly onto my table, and then I always like to use a chip brush, just a cheap little chip brush, to make sure that I have a good even coat all over my piece. Once you've got a good coat of oil wax down, you want to just walk away from your piece for about 15 to 20 minutes. This allows the oil wax to really soak in and seal your milk paint. Oil wax is one of my favorite ways to seal Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, but you can absolutely use regular wax or any type of finish that you would like over the top of it. Once it sat for about 15 minutes, I came back in with a dry shop towel and just wiped it down really well. I actually used a couple towels on this. You just want to make sure that you get as much of that oil wax off as you possibly can. Then this piece is finally finished. I absolutely love how it came out. I think it'll be a perfect addition to my holiday displays. I hope you guys like it too. I hope you liked my little holiday themed side table. I think it'll be a perfect addition to my holiday displays. It's always nice to have those smaller pieces of furniture that you can work in and build your displays upward, and so that's exactly what I'm going to use that little table for. If you did enjoy the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. I so appreciate it, and if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and then just hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. And then don't forget to drop a comment below and let me know what you thought of my little holiday themed side table. For, let's see, Saturday's video, I'm going to be doing some more thrift flips. I already have created a few ornaments that I'm excited to show you guys, so I hope you'll join me for that. Also, just as a quick reminder, any of the paint and products you see me use, you can be purchased through me at my website, and that's www.theeclecticcottagespokane.com. I carry the full line of DIY paint and products, in which I just got my shipment in and uploaded, so everything is back in stock now. And I also carry Sweet Pickins Milk Paint and products, Recycled decoupage papers, and also Redesign with Prima paint or products. So, and I do have an order coming of Redesign and Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, and I'll be ordering Recycled treasures as soon as I can manage getting there in time to get some of the new items. They keep being out of stock every time I go to look for them. Anyway, if you're curious as far as the house goes, we spent all week basically getting our kitchen painted. My days off on Sunday and Monday were all from 5 o'clock in the morning until 7, 8 o'clock at night. Painting. And so I am really, really tired of painting, but we're so close to finally being done in our kitchen, and it's just been a lot of work. I will be so happy when that part of it is done and we can move on to actually starting to downsize and pack things up and get ready to go. So that's just a quick update on that. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week and beginning of your weekend. I hope to see you back here on Saturday. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.